How are you guys doing today? You guys excited about the project? Okay. So let me share my screen. Again, we learn about so many properties in HTML, and now you want to master the skill so you can build anything technically. You see anything and you can build it. You can even create clones based on the skills that you gained. Of course, we're still missing a lot. You need to learn JavaScript, but I was looking for multiple portfolio web pages like templates so we can create a clone for one of them. Of course, all of them, they are built with a framework because it's much easier. But as a good practice, we can use all what we learn about CSS and HTML to try to clone them without using any framework. So I find this article. It's in on Medium. Let me share my screen. And it have a 40 portfolio templates for free. But all this portfolio are built with a framework, and this framework is called Bootstrap. And again, there's nothing wrong with frameworks, but especially if you're a beginner, you want to try to do everything with CSS because at the end of the day, you want to master CSS. If you're very solid about CSS and HTML, you can build anything you want. You can create any clone that you want. So you will have here multiple templates. You can download, view the demo. Of course, this is required JavaScript to do the typewriting. But you will have like a navigation bar, the home page. You'll have the image, about, services, work, and small blog, and look at the work. You can put your project right here. And to create a portfolio, it's a very good technique that you can add it to your resume, and it will show your work and how you're good at that type of technology. And you have a simple form at the end where people can send you messages. So there is a lot of templates, and you can view them, and you can even download the Bootstrap code. But in our case, we're not going to do any Bootstrap. We're not going to use any framework. We're going to build it from the scratch using CSS and HTML. We're going to brainstorm it, how to think when you create a clone for a web page, how to organize it, organize the structure of your page, how you can name your classes, because the whole idea that you want to make it easy for you as the developer to maintain it. And you don't want to get in the middle of the project and you get completely lost what I'm doing. Okay, I find some like there's some of them really simple, and some of them they actually in Bootstrap. If you go to Bootstrap, which is the framework for CSS, like this one, this is straight up from Bootstrap templates, and also this one is coming from Bootstrap template. I find this one is easy based on whatever we learn about. I already open it here. And I like the dark background. So you have a simple navigation at the top. Of course, you will pick some colors. We have to design it, and you have some hover over effect. Of course, we're not going to switch the images because that's what required, because it's like a carousel. This is a carousel. And to have a running carousel, it will require JavaScript. But of course, if you're having a framework like Bootstrap, that's already, the code is already with Bootstrap. Next, you have the guy image, about me, his name, his age. You can download his CV, his resume he put where he worked. This is a single page, so you can click on any of these tabs will take you to that. Here we go into the resume. You can download his CV again. You can check his services, what type of services he do. He do web design, photography, web development, product strategy, branding, and so on. My skills, technically, you can do this progress bars with CSS. We'll see if we have time. I can go over it, but it's much easier when you use a framework. You can build anything with CSS. I can tell you that. You can do anything. I saw, even if you go to the YouTube, you're gonna find people drawing with CSS. They can draw, they create like an iPhone with CSS, they draw it. So you can do anything with CSS. Here, some of his projects, and you hover over them, you can see the projects that he made. And you have like a simple blog. When you click on it, it should take you to other page. But of course, we're not gonna do that. Here you have a counter. To have a counter, you need a JavaScript. Again, JavaScript is anything that's interactive in your own page. He got 100 awards, 1,200 completed project, and here is a button to hire him. You have some contact information like the address, contact number, email address, and website, and so on. And you have a nice footer here, like all the services. This is, you can consider it as a sub footer. This is the final footer by the web page. So we're gonna try with the knowledge we gained in the previous 3 days to get it close as possible to this web page. Kim, you have a question? Any questions, guys? Okay. Again, through this process, if you don't understand anything, feel free to stop me at any point. You have a lot of time. If any of the properties you're not 100% that what is going to do for your web page, feel free to stop me. It's like, why are you using that line of code? I'll be more than happy to go over it again. Think about it as review for the past 3 days, practical review. Okay, and here you can go to this web page, get more web pages that you can clone. Okay, what I'm gonna do is, this is from yesterday. Create a new folder for you, website, web page. Create a folder here. I'm gonna open it with Visual Studio Code. This. I can give you even live share, so you can actually copy some of my snippets. I'm gonna paste it in the class Slack channel. So feel free to click in that link. That will take you to my Visual Studio Code, and you will gain access to be able to copy from my Visual Studio Code here. Let me put it side by side. This web page is responsive, but we're not going to do responsive because that's a huge topic. You have media queries, especially if you're going to do it with just CSS. So I'll start by creating, we put it like this for now, the index.html. I'm gonna create a boilerplate here. And notice that the title is very important. You can put your name. We're gonna do a web page here for John Doe. Front end or developer and designer. Okay. That's for the title. Next, we're gonna add the main.css. You can call the file anything you want. Next step that I want to link the HTML with the CSS file. So I can add link and I select the main.css. Next step, I want to take a look, break down this web page to multiple pieces. And you can say, this is the navigation bar. This is one page or one piece of your code. Then you have this hero. That's the second piece of your code, second chunk of your code. Think about it as sections. And the next section is going to be the about me, then resume section, then services section, then you have another section for skills, and every single section we have a link for it. Okay, so definitely I need here the nav bar or the navigation. I can add comments for myself. After the navigation, I will have the hero section. Okay. In the CSS, we're going to start, and I'm going to do a lot of comments here. So even if you read this code after 1 month, you know what are we doing here. Just to organize it, make it look better. We're going to do the reset styles to reset the browser default. So we're going to select all the elements because we're the designers or the developers. We want to be in control of how any of the elements will look like. We want to remove any browser defaults. We're going to remove all the margin. We're going to set it to 0. We're going to remove all the padding, set it to 0. And also we're going to set the box sizing to be border box. Next step, I want to use nice font, multiple fonts probably, or I can use one font. So I'm going to go to Google Fonts. And we can get the Roboto. It's a very popular font. And you can click the Get Font. And we want to embed it in our code. And you can copy. You can do it with the link. This is the link is going to be in the HTML. Or you have another option here called import. Import, that means you're going to import it in the CSS. Here you're going to link it to the HTML. So you can import another CSS to your CSS file. So I can do the import and take the import statement here, and I can copy it and import it in my CSS. And I can do view or wrap. So I'm importing a URL. This is an external CSS for the font. And I'm going to import it here, and you have to put the semicolon. And instead of using the link, either or. Once I do that, I can select my body. That's mean the whole page. First, I want the body to take at least the view height. So I can set the minimum height or just height. It's up to you. Minimum height to be 100 of view height. Let's see if we didn't set that. And I want to set the background color to black because our web page have black. If I set the background to black and I go right here, it's set to black. So all the body will be black. But I want to set also the height of your body, because if I add it here in H1, hello world, because it's black, so I have to make color white. Here we go. We see hello world. I want to set all the fonts as well to be the Roboto font that I just used from Google Map. You go right here, you'll find the font family, Roboto. Okay, which is a nice font that I can use. Good, so we get the font, we make the background dark. Next, we need notice that some sections like the navigation bar and all the other sections, they're in the middle of the screen and they have some buffer from the left and right. And some other section, like that section that have this image, it taking the full width. Okay. So I need to create a class that I can add it to any section that will make its width less and put it in the middle of the screen. Okay. So think about it as a generic class that I can reuse it with any section. So I can use it with this section, with this section, with this section, but I'm not going to use it with that section. Okay. In that class, you can call it container. Since it's going to be reused with multiple section, definitely is going to be class. And for my container, I want to set the max width of the content to, let's say, 950 pixels. And I wanted to center it in the middle of the screen, so margin auto. And now, since I created this container, if I added that to this h1 class container, let's see what we're going to have now. You will see that it will have that spacing from this side. Here, we probably going to need to increase it just to match our whatever we're trying to clone. Here, it's in the middle at the key of my bookmarks. So I have to increase the maximum width for it. So I will increase that, make it 1200. Let's see. Okay, so I have to reduce it a little bit. Increase it again. If you clone, you have to eyeball exactly how the web page. Yeah, that's about. So they start from the same point here. Good. Now I want to start working with the navigation bar. Okay. So this is the navigation bar. It have a name of the person, and it's actually a link that will always get you back to the home page. So I will start, I can remove that. Start with the navigation. For navigation, I will use a nav tag. You can use div, that's fine, but with HTML5, they created some tags that they have some meanings. Instead of adding div, which is very generic, other developers like what he mean by div, you can add the nav. Yeah, you can do that. You can inspect here anything. So if you inspect that, but there you go. If I inspect this section, let me go for this section because they all have the same. And when you hover over it, it will give you the whole section. There you go. This is the container. So it have a same class container, maximum width 960. I think it depends on the view you run. It's 960 for this container. Okay, so definitely you can inspect. You can get anything from the developer tools. So I'm going to use the nav tag here. And I want to have a link. The nav, I'm going to use flex to put the space between them. So I will use toChild. So when I think about flex, this is going to be a flex item. The whole thing here is going to be flex item. So I can put the space between the two items. And the flex container is going to be the whole navigation. That bar. Okay, is that clear? So that's how I think about it, or how I'm going to design it. So I'll have the nav, I will have a link, and this link, I will give it an ID. I will call it logo, and I can say the name of the developer. For that guy, it's Clark, so I'm gonna be John Doe. Okay, and I'm using the ID here to style it. Then I'm gonna have a div, and you can give it an ID, links, and now I will have multiple links, like a tag, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 links. For now, I'm just going to keep the href empty. Later on, we're going to connect this href with some sections in our web page. First one is home. I'm going to give it a class. So I'm going to style all of them one time. And I can say nav link class nav link. Second one is going to be home about resume about resume. Let me see if I can get it not a mobile device, even if I have to minimize. Here you go. Let's do it this way. So I don't have to keep going back and forth between them. Just minimize the zoom level. Oops. Why? I'm pressing, oh, Alt Shift down. Here we go. Services. Skills. My blog. Contact. Save. That's it for the navigation. That's the structure of the navigation. I have the link. It's going to be eventually at the left side, and the rest of the links going to be on the right side. And we want to style them. Let's take a look at them right now. They look very ugly, needs to be styled. So the nav is going to be my flex container in that case. So I can start here, navigation, the nav. It will be, I want to display it as flex. Once you do it, this display flex is going to be right next to each other. I want to put the space between them. That's how I'm going to align them horizontally. So justify content, space 3. And now you see we're putting the space right between them. All the links in my page, the default links, you can select any link in your page. Okay. And you set it to color to be white. That's like more general for the whole page. There you go. Also, you want to remove the underline. So you can do text decoration. That's the property. And we can do it underline. That's the default of a link, but we can set it to none. And now we remove all the underlines for all the links in your page. Good. Now, I can add the class container to my navigation bar. Class container. Here we go. And probably when it's here, I don't want it to hit the edge. So the container here, I can add padding 1 rem. Good. Padding left and right 1 rem, because I don't want to control the top and bottom. Good. So in small screen. Good. This navigation bar, I want to give it some padding because it's have some padding here from the top. So say padding from top and bottom. I will add 1 rem. Let's see how that look like. Top and bottom. It's not adding here. Padding, let's try padding top 20 pixels. No, let's try to identify what is the problem here. There's no padding. 16, 16. That's coming from the container. Oh, I see. You see here, it gets scratch off. And it gets scratch off because we added this class here. So we can actually reuse the same class. So I'm just going to do it here, padding left, 1 rem, padding right, 1 rem, and right here, padding top, let's do 1 rem, let's do 2 rem, so that look like good, padding bottom, 2 rem, good. Actually, let's do it 1.5. Because that's, I want to add it only to the navigation, not to any other sections that I'm going to add to container for. The container only to the left and right. Okay. So I added padding to the top, and if you inspect that, you will see for the navigation bar, it will have 24 pixels top padding and bottom padding here. Good. Now we'll start with the logo here that I want to make the font a little bit bigger. And I can target a link that have the ID logo. I can make font size to be 24 pixels. Font weight to be bold, not font family. Font weight be bolder, or you can select 900. Good. So we see John Doe here. Okay. And you will notice that here, it's not in the same line as this guy's here. So I want to align them vertically. And we can use align items since it's a flex box. And we do it in row. Align items will control the vertical alignment. So in the nav here, I'll do align items, center. And notice what's going to happen here. Once I do that, that will be aligned correctly. Take a look at it. Now they are aligned, they are on the same line here. Good. Now I'm going to be working on this div, which is called links. Or actually a nav link, each navigation link. I should add space surrounding it. I can actually display it as flex. Going to be much better here. So I can target the div with the links, ID links, display it as flex. It's already in the row. I will do, you can do something called gap. You know what, you can do it width. You want to do it 80% of the parent. You can do it 50% of the parent. justify content space evenly. So you can increase that 60%. Good, like that. So now we was able to spread because we separated the space. We make it 60% of the navigation bar width, and we spread the space between them. Good. Of course, in small screens, this will not going to look the best, but because it's not a responsive web page. Now, probably going to make the font. I'm going to go to nav link, which is a class, and each link make the font size 18 pixels. Good. Make it bold. Font weight bold. Not font family, font weight. Let's see. That's fine by me. I think it's a little bit bold. Let's. Okay, this is good. 600 is good. Now, I want, when I hover over it, it will have this line underneath it. Okay. So that nav link, hover. You can do it with multiple ways. You can add a border bottom, and you say 1 pixel solid, and you can get the color that is used here. And I have a nice extension here to give me the same color, because that color we're going to be using a lot. This is like the secondary color. I have a tool here called Color Picker that you can get it for Chrome extension. And you can pick any color, and it will give you the hex code for it. And I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that color right here. So if you try to do it this way, see here, you will have the underline here, 1 pixel. And of course, we're not going to have the animation. We didn't cover CSS animation in the mini bootcamp. But also you can for these links here, for every link, let's add a padding. Top and bottom, 0.5 rem. Left and right, 0. Okay. The reason that, because since you add a padding, you will increase the space. Here we go. Increase the space between the content to the border. Okay. And also let's increase the width of the line. Okay. But you will notice something here. You see, every time I do it like this way, you'll find that the name keep jumping. Anybody know why? Because we're adding 2 extra pixels when we hover over it. But if you're not hovering, there's not there. So you're changing the view. You add here, you're adding 2 extra pixels to technically to every single link. And that will affect the alignment. To solve this problem, and if you want it stable when you hover over it, you can add a border when the link is not You're not hover over it, but it's going to be with the same width, but it's going to be transparent. So it's not going to be visible. So now when I hover over it, it's much better. Now, you're not going to find this moving up and down when you hover over any of the links. Okay. So this is our navigation bar. I'm happy with it. Feel free to make any changes in your version. Any question about the properties we used here, or the method or the approach, how we can get to this navigation bar? Okay. Next, I want to work on the hero section. Of course, we're not going to do the carousel. That if you're going to do it, you got to either use a framework like Bootstrap, or you can do it with just JavaScript because it's interactive. It's dynamically will change the content here of the page. I will use this guy image. You can right click on it. You will notice that you have here the image with a transparent background. That's the reason I want his image, because it's have a transparent background. You can get your image if you want, and there's many tools online that can remove the background for you. But for simplicity, I'm just gonna when you hover over it here, it will give you the content source. You can click on it, and you can save it as. There you go. Let me get the image. I'm gonna create a folder here. I'm gonna call it images. That's gonna be for all the images we're gonna use. And it's called BG-1. I'll keep the name. Okay. That's gonna be Mr. John Doe. And we're gonna use it in the hero. And if you take a look at the hero, let's design the hero. How are we gonna lay out this hero? What do you think? Are we gonna put the image on one side and the text on this side? Can use Flexbox as well, right? So I'm gonna add a container here, where one side I'm gonna have this content, and the other side I will have the image, right? This is a flex item, and this is a flex item, right? So that's how I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna have hero section here. And I'm gonna start with the markup. That's always the best approach. So I can minimize that. Okay. So you can use div, that's fine, but HTML5 provide you with some tags that are semantically, they have nothing to do with the view, but they give more description. One of them is section. So you can use section tag instead of a regular div. And now when you read the code, you know that this section is the navigation, this is a regular section, and I'm going to give this section an ID, and I'm going to call it hero, because that's the hero section. And I'm going to start with a div inside it here. You can give it an ID of text content or hero text. Here we have, like, let's say paragraph, hello, exclamation mark. Then we're going to have this H1. This is the most important text here. I am, your name, then your title, I'm Clark. Either you can pick any one of them. But notice that this text here is having some words are in yellow. And in order to do that, I will use an H1 because it's a heading, level 1. And I'll say, I'm John Doe. But John Doe, here, the name, I want it to be a different color. So you want to put it inside another element, inline element, and you can use a span. So this is a span of the text. Okay. Because I want it to be a different color. So I am John Doe, and I can add here an H2, a free lance web designer. Then I'm going to have 2 buttons. So I'll put them inside a div to wrap them as a side of div button. This button, I'll give it a class PTN. I'm going to add 2 classes. PTN will be responsible for the spacing and make the button rounded, the spaces here on top and bottom. But the second class is going to be responsible for the background color. So I can do PTN primary. This means it's going to be the primary color we're using, which is the yellow color. And I'm going to say hire me. And I create another button. I'm going to say my work. And this is going to be PTN secondary. That will control the color. Okay, let's see how this is look. Or actually, after that, after this hero text, I'm going to add my image. So I'm going to add the image. Look like this so far. This is how it look like. And for the image, I need to go inside the images folder. Images. And inside the images, we have pg_1.png. And I'm going to put on alt text, John Doe. So if the image didn't get loaded, we will have an alternative text to be displayed. And I'm going to add an attribute called title that when the user hover over it, it will show you like a small box with the title. And I'm going to do John Doe. Here's John Doe. When I hover over him, you'll see that there is a tooltip with his name. Good. So this is how it looks like, and the image is really big. So we need to style that section. So this section, I'm going to give it a class, the class that I used, which is container, to center it. And notice now it starts same as the navigation bar here. I'm going to start with the styling. This is the hero section. So I can target the hero section. And I'm going to display my hero section as flex because I want to put them right next to each other. And immediately you will notice that you have this section and you have the image. You can minimize the image that's inside the hero. So I will target the hero and the image to only take 50% of the parent, my section. So I can set the width to be 50%. There you go. So you have 50% spect. I want to push all the space. Now you have some spaces here between them. So justify content space between. So you have the person here. That's where it's belong. And now I need to play with this text here to bring it in the middle. You can do vertical align by using align items, especially when in the row. So align items center. And now it's right here. Good. Now this hello, which is the paragraph that inside the hero text ID. So now I'll target hero text, the paragraph that's inside it. I want the color for it to be the same color right here. Good. Perfect. Not only the paragraph, also the hero text and the span that we have it there. So both of them, they're gonna have the same color. Notice that this is the hero text and we have this span, which is having the name of the developer, both of them to be color yellow. And if you go over here, you'll see I am John Doe, a freelancer web designer. Good. Now let's play with this H1, or this is the H1, this is the H2. Yeah. Now let's target the H1. Make it a little bit bigger. So we're gonna add more font or more font size. So in the hero text, H1, font size 36 pixels. Let's see how that. Right, so expect hero dash text, not underscore. Okay, it's getting bigger. Good. Let's actually get it more big. Here it's really big. So let's make it 56, for example. And notice that we minimize that we zoom out here. This is the correct zoom. Let's make it more. 70 pixels. See how that look like? Hi, I am John Doe. Good. Also this paragraph here, let's add some padding to the bottom. So I will target only the paragraph. Padding. We can do margin bottom 1 rem. Good. Let's add another 1 rem here. Margin bottom 1 rem. Again, you can do it the way that you want it. Doesn't have to be exactly. If you're happy with the spacing, it's fine. You're the designer here. For this H2, I'll do font weight to be, for example, 700. Margin bottom 1 rem. Okay. It's getting in shape. Also this logo, let's make it a little bit bigger. Font size 36. Good. Now I'm going to start working in this buttons to finalize the hero section and also connect the home with this hero section. So the home, when you click on it, it should take you to the hero section. So you put the ID of the hero section. Let's try it. Notice it will keep you the hero section here. Good. Later on, you will see, even if you scroll down, you click in home, it will always take you to the home page. Okay. So let's take our first break. Before we go to break, is any questions or anything we did so far you don't understand? Or anything hard?
Can you show us one more time how to import the URL?
From the font? For the font?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So you go Google.
Like very beginning you showed. I just missed it.
Google Fonts. Select any font you want. Let's say I want to select this font. Okay. Click and get font. And you click and get embedded code because I want to embed it. I don't want to download the font files. And here you have two options, especially for the web. If you're designing for the web, for Android, iOS, different. For the web, you can copy the link. For the import, you don't need the style because you're going to put it in the style sheet anyway. So you just copy the @import URL. Copy this.
Okay, yeah, good, yeah.
Very
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, so let's take a quick 2 minutes. I'm going to run Google timer. Google becoming very helpful. Keep using it for everything, fonts, timers. Yeah, see you in 2 minutes, guys. Okay, guys, so we're going to continue. Got 18 seconds here. And we're going to start working with the buttons. And the buttons is something that we're going to use a lot. We have 2 buttons here. We have 1 button here. We have 1 button here. So it's something that we're going to do. I want to create like a general CSS class that I can use it with all the buttons, so I don't have to repeat myself. And right here, I can say general styling. That will affect many locations in my page. And I have the class PTN that will be responsible for the spacing of the button. The first thing to style a button, I want to remove its border. So border, none. To let's take a look at it. So it's not going to have a border. I want to add a padding top and bottom and left and right. Padding top and bottom, 1 left, 1 rem, 2 rem, left and right. Let's take a look. It's not taking effect. Class PTN, PTN. Adding 1 extra space here. The border is removed. Oh, because I'm doing padding top. General padding. Here we go. Let's minimize 0.75 for top and bottom. Good. Let's make them rounded. So border radius. And I can do 20%. Let's see how that look like. Let's do 50%. That's going to be like an oval. 30%. No. this to 40, 50, but 50 is going to be an oval like this. I don't know. I'm just going to do 15%. 10%. Oh, because I'm doing percent. My bad. Doing percent. Doing 15 pixels. 30 pixels. And that's what we want. It's the mistake that I was doing a percentage, but I want to it's going to be percentage of the width of, it should be in pixels. Sorry for that. Okay, next, I want the font size inside them because the default is going to be less than 16, so to be 1 rem. It's going to be a little bit bigger. Now, for the BTN primary, the background color is going to be my color here. Good. For the BTN secondary, the background color will be black or transparent. Now, the color will be white, but I want to add a border. One pixel, solid white. Good. So, and the cursor, I can add it here, the cursor to be a pointer for both of them. And it's up to you. You can add spacing to the left and right. So I want to add margin to the top and bottom, nothing. Left and right, let's add 10 pixels. So I'm going to put adding some spaces between them. There you go. I'm John Doe, freelance web designer. You can click here to hire him, or you can see his work. Good. So the next section is about me. We're not going to do the text in the back because we didn't cover positions. We didn't cover z-index using CSS to get that effect. There is some other properties that we didn't cover in the mini bootcamp. We just covered the basics that will enable you to create any web page, but not with that type of effect. So we're going to work on this, which is About Me section. So I will start by the About Me section here. So this section is done. About Me section, which is a section that have an ID about me, -me. And as you can see, we start with an image. So I can copy this image tag. And after that, we're going to have a div here. This is the text. It's going to be about me. So I'm going to have a div. I'll give it an ID about text. And copy this text here about me. I'm going to do an h1 about me. Then we're going to have an h2 that will have, say, a small river named, that's like a caption for his coat. Then we need to have a name. Notice that this is look like somehow a table. You can get this approach using a table, or you can use Flexbox. But if using a Flexbox, you have to wrap each one of them by a Flex container, put the space between them, for every individual one. So I will use table here because for me, that's more like a table. It's going to be easier to lay it out just to start each column from the same size. And you can adjust the table width, adjust the table height, and so on. So I can use table here. So you have the HTML table tag. Table to enter a table. And you start entering tables by using table row because you start enter each row individually. So table row or TR. Within the TR, to create a column, you can, the first column, table data, TD, and in that case, we're going to put name and the column. And the second column is going to be John Doe. Good. And we're going to start working with multiple rows. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Second one here, date of birth. Next is the address. I don't know why zip code is important, but we're going to add it anyway. The email. With that type of layout, I would say, because it's two-dimensional layout, you're doing row and columns, grid will be great for that if you're familiar with the grid, CSS grid, but we didn't cover that in the Mini Bootcamp, so the easiest way to just do it with the tables. Good. Save. Here's the table. Notice they're not next to each other because we didn't use the flex box here to lay this yet. After the table, we have like an, I'll do this H3. And this is the H2. And I will have a span of 120, which is the number of projects. And after the span, because I want to color it different, I'll say project completed. And finally here, I'm going to have a link to download the CV. So I have a link. For now, I'm just going to put the hashtag, but later on, I'm going to show you how you can download PDF. Download CV. I think CV, and then later here we have the resume. Okay, so that's all the markup for this section. Okay, and if you take a look at it, here we go. Download CV. It's actually should be a button. Yeah, I will make it a link that will be styled. Give it a class of BTN. can just add a style here. Display inline block. I think that's what preventing it. No. Because we didn't, oh, so it is styled. It is styled, but we never, I can actually do PTN primary. Here we go. So the button is actually styled correctly. The only issue that the links are in line. So I want to make sure that when I put PTN, it will display it as inline block. Here you go. Download CV. It's a dark text. So by default here, the color will be black. Okay, download CV. Okay, so let's working on this section. This is the hero section. Now this is the about me section, where about the ID is about me. Displayed flex. Once you do the flex, you should notice that they've become next to each other. I want the image to be 25%, about the 25%. So about me, image, the width to be 25%. And it's not, we want to center it. So I'm going to use the class container. Forget to use that here. Class container. And as you can see how reusable these classes are. So you don't have to repeat your work. Probably I'm going to make it 30% for the image. Good. And I want to, you see here that this section, I want to separate it from the top section. So I'm probably going to add some margin top. Let's do 5 rem, see how it looks like. I'll probably need more. Let's do 10 rem. Yeah, that's good. And of course, you can use different image here. I don't think it's a good idea to have the same image here and there, but here you can put an actual image or a different image for you. Let's think how we're gonna do this. Of course, the about, when I click on it, I want to go in that section. So in my navigation here, that's the whole idea about the navigation. I want to do about dash me. When I click on this link, it should take me to that section. So let's try it. Here we go. When I click on it, it jumped me down, take me to that section. Okay. Actually, it should be more 40%, for example. Good, 40% is good. The about me, which is the H1, about text H1, that's the text section. Font size, let's do 46 pixels. Let's do more. Yeah, that's about correct. Now let's do margin bottom to rem. Oh, bottom to rem. Good. Probably make it Font weight, make it 900 just to make sure it's the boldest font that I have. About text, I have the H3. Font weight, lighter. Font size, 24 pixels. So 20 pixels. Good. Color. Let's do gray, light gray. Font style, italic. Margin bottom, 2 rem. Good. Let's increase this image a little bit. Let's do it 50%. Okay, that's about correct. It's 50. So a small river named. So I want to align this vertically as well. I did a display flex here, justify content, space between, align items, center. Good. There you go. Help me. Now for this table, for this column here, I want to make it bold. So I give them classes. This here. Class label. Okay, call it label. So we'll target the table to make sure that the table that inside the about text, and make sure that there is a margin to the bottom similar to the 2 rem, same spacing. About text, the label, I will set the width, or actually the table here, I want to make it 100%, the width to be 100%. And for the label, I'll set also the font size for the all items here to be 24 pixels. That's a little bit big, 18 pixels. Good. For the label, font weight, bold. Let's do 900. Manually, font size, let's increase the size, 20 pixels. Good. And you can control the spacing between the rows. So about text, table row, for each table row, I want to add a margin bottom of 1 rem. Let's do padding. No. Text table, table row, table data. Okay. So for every single data, margin bottom, 5 pixels. Let's increase it 10 pixels. Again, I use margin. Not sure why margin is not used. Oh, because we didn't set the height of the table. Okay. Padding bottom, 10 pixels. Okay, 10 pixels are good. Let's make this darker color. Table data, color, CCC. Use 333 would be really dark. That's for everything. Okay, probably gonna use that one and then make it a little bit lighter. Let's do 555, 666. 666 is good, look good. And I'm gonna use the same color with the H3 here. 666, good. Actually, I'm gonna make it a little bit lighter because it's okay, that's good. I'm gonna also use the 888 here. And for the labels, make sure that the color is white. Or you can put FFF. There you go. For the 120 projects, that's the H2 that we have. And I have that span. And I already have the color here. So I can add that, the about text span. Because then I have the 120. And right here, the about text H2, margin bottom, 1 rem. Good. So we can only download that guy, CV. So if you click on About Me, it will take you to the About page right away. If you click the Home, but the problem that I want this navigation to be always in the top of the screen. Because when you scroll down, now you don't have this navigation to go up. You can do that if you go to the navigation here. There's a property called position, how you want to position it. And I want to always position it as fixed to the top of the screen, where the top is going to be 0 and left to the screen 0. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm going to use sticky. Sticky, that means it's always going to stick to the top of the screen. Because when you do position fixed, it will be taken out of the content. So now if I click in About, if I click Home, take me back up, down, up. And I know we didn't cover positions, but it's very useful. Position, the default position, just so you're aware, is not the absolute, the static. And static, if you're using static, you can't use top or left. Where do you want to locate that element? So static is not the, if you want to move around your element in the page, you can use the sticky or the fixed. Fixed will be taken out of the flow of the page. Sticky, that means you're going to stick it up to the page. There is more positions. But now we just turn it to position it as a sticky, and notice that it will always stuck to the top of the page. And we can make the background black for it. So background color, black. So to match the background. So now when we scroll down, you will always have this black background. And actually, yeah, you can do something really cool here. You can, instead of putting the black like this, you can use an RGBA, which is red, green, blue, and alpha. Alpha will control the transparency. So if you want a black, it's 0 for red, 0 for green, and 0 for blue. And I want the transparency to be 50%. So it's going to be 0.5. And notice now when you scroll down, it's semi-transparent. It's still showing the image. I can make it darker. The closer you get to 1, now it's darker. Make it 8, 9, but still transparent. So it's you have 0.9. So RGBs are cool values for colors. I'll use 8. So I have some semi-transparent background here for my navigation bar. Now let's finish that. How you can download a CV? Well, it's not a big deal. Let's get a resume PDF online. Hopefully they're not going to ask me to download something or to log in. Download it as a PDF. That's some person template. Gonna download it. Gonna go to my downloads. Gonna drag it and drop it right here. Gonna rename it resume. And now when the user click on this button, it should open the resume PDF. And we're gonna do the target to be, I want it to open in a new tab, blank. Or actually, you don't need target here. You can add an attribute download. I think I think download only. Let's give it a try. So if I click, see, it started downloading the file, but say it's working. So you click here. Once you click, you see it start downloading the file. So that will download that file that you have in your server, which is the resume.pdf. Good, cool. So now we actually adding a file, and when we added the attribute download, and you can download a resume. So we're done from this section about me. It's not quite similar, but somehow it's like the size is a little bit different, the spacing is different, but you can play around with that and customize it the way that you want. Okay, now let's go over the resume section. And actually, this is 3. Gonna make it 1 rem. Let's make it because using a little bit less font. And I'm not gonna make it italic or lighter. Actually, normal. Font weight, normal. Can remove that. Good. I'm happy with that. Because I'm going to use the same sizes. You want it to be uniform across all the sections. So this heading have the same size as the resume and also this slogan that you have right here. Good. And then we're going to create this cards and also again download CV. Then we're going to have work with this. Probably we're going to finalize it here. My skills and project, we're not going to include it in the plug. We're going to do this part and probably contact me in the form at the end. So we're not 100% going to finish it the same way because of the time. Let's work in the resume section. Resume. Let's see what's in the resume. Going to create a section. Resume. It will be container. Container. I see a question is coming up. Yeah, definitely you can build anything. Any information that you took from that. And of course, I'm going to be sharing the code with you. You can take it and just customize it the way that you want it. As long as you know the flow of the project, then you can change the guy name, change some of the styles. You can make the background white, doesn't have to be black. Does that answer your question, Steve? So resume, we're going to start with an H1. H1 is going to say resume. And I'm going to create, you know what, I'm going to keep it that way. Going to have an H3 since I used an H3 previously for that type of text. Then I'm going to have some cards. Each one of them is going to be wrapped in a card. So you can create a flex here with 2 items, flex here with 2 items, flex here with 2 items, or you can have a container. I think we can do it with 1 container, div, I'm going to call it cards. And for each one, I'm going to call it card. So the first card, I'm going to use an H2, H1, 2014, 2015, H2, master's degree of design. H3. Copy this. Then we're going to have a paragraph. View, wrap text. Good. So this is the first card. I'm going to have another card that have an H1. H2. H3. Paragraph. So it's keep repetitive technically. You're only changing the title here. or the H2 only. So I'm going to keep moving that down, even the same years. 1, 2, 3, 4. WordPress developer. Copy that right here. And I want this button to be in the center of the screen. So I need to wrap it up with a container. Then I can move the button in the center where that container will have the full width. So technically this button, there is a container, and then you center it to that container. So I'm gonna add a div, and then I'm gonna copy same button that I have here. Now I want to create a general class that it will center anything to the middle. So it's one of the general classes called text center. And I'm gonna do text align center. Good. Now if I apply that to the div here, text align center, it should center my button. Here, center the button. Okay. So there's a lot of styling need to be made, right? I only have the button because it's repetitive or used classes. Also for my resume here, I can, which is this H1, I'm gonna add a class text center. It will make sure it's gonna center it. Perfect. Notice in the previous section, like about me, we did margin top 10 rem. We can reuse that. And we create a class here, section top. And then we can reuse it. So we can remove it from here. And in our HTML, we add here section top. And also, we're just gonna add some margin to the top. Here we go. So they are evenly spaced. Also, for this H1, I can, because I'm gonna reuse it a lot, well, this and this. So I can cut them and put them in my general section. You want to reuse your code, give it a class here, title, and this one is going to be subtitle. Save. So we use it right here. This is my title, not the navigation. Here, it's class title. And this is the class subtitle. And I'm going to reuse it right here, where title, class subtitle. So you don't have to write any new properties. Just reuse the old one. Good. Now I gotta start working with these cards. Which is these cards here. This is with ID cards. So I can go down. This is the new section, which is the resume. cards. I want to display it as flex. I want to add gap for the flex between the items. I want to add a gap of, let's say, 2 rem. Width 100%. That's the container. Justify content. No need to justify content. We're already adding the gap. That will control this basic. It will put all of them right next to each other. Okay. Now for every single card, look what's going to happen now, because I didn't specify the width of the card. So for every single card, it's going to be 50% of its parent. So it's going to be 2 cards within one line, within one row. So the width would be 50%. Let's take a look. Still 5 to 450 pixels. Let's inspect. I think I know what is the problem. We have to use flex wrap, so it can wrap to the next line. So we're going to do wrap. Now they're going to be wrapped. Now they're going to be 2. If you didn't use flex wrap, they're not going to wrap to the next line. That's the problem. Okay. And we need to wrap them like this. Okay. It's taken shape. And now I can get back to the 50%. It's not going to be quite 50% because we have a gap of 2 rem. Let's do background color. And I want to check this background color. At least to see what we're dealing with. Okay. Can add some padding to each card. Padding 2 rem. Border radius 10 pixels. Let's do 7 pixels. Good. Do 3 rem, top and bottom. Good. Now the problem here, because we're using the gap, so you're adding the gap. If I didn't add gap, they're gonna stick to each other, which is fine. Then I can do justify content, space between. There's no space because he's setting 50%. And I can do it 49% each. Let's do 48%. And each card have a margin bottom. Margin. Good. So here we go. We have these cards. And now we need to style the dates, adding some margin to their bottom. Not sure why this is not centered. It's used to be centered. Text center here. Because this dev don't have All right, I'll fix that. Let me see what I need to do. So let's take a break. After the break, we're probably just gonna do the service, and we're gonna do a simple. We can do the contact page, and just do a simple footer, just to wrap it up, because it might take a long time to finish it. But you get the idea how you can mock any web page, look at it, try to lay it out using the Flexbox, make it easy, and do the spacing in the colors. That's really what it is. Any question before we go to break? Anything don't make sense to you so far? Any of the properties we used here to understand why we used the CSS? Okay, I'll see you in 10 minutes. Timer. Okay, guys, so let's continue with the resume section, which is this section here. What I want to do is sorry, didn't see that requests. I just accept them all. I will target cards H1 and H2, H3, and paragraph. Cards H1, cards H2, cards H3, and finally the paragraph. That's what I need to do here. I want to add equal spacing. So margin bottom to be, let's say 1 rem. Margin bottom 1 rem. Margin bottom 1 rem. And right here, I'm going to do it there's more space here. Actually, let's do this one, 2 rem. The color, it's going to be that color that we keep using. Font weight, 900. Font size, 30 pixels. Good. Master degree of design, which is the H2. Font weight, gonna do 600. Not gonna change that much. Okay. 400, which is the normal. Color, make sure it's white, always white. Here, for the H3 color, 888, Cambridge University. Font size, 10 pixels. Let's do 16 pixels. 14 is good. For this text here, we're going to do a color. You can do line height. That's a property we didn't cover, but to add some height for each line. And it's relative value because I don't want the lines to be on top of each other. So the line height, I can, 1 is mean that's the normal one here, just 1. Can do 1.5. It will add more space between the lines. So that's what I want to do here. Good. And that's it. We have our cards. That's related to the resume. Now I want to see why I can't center that. Fine. This bind here in the text center class. So cards, not in the cards. This is outside the cards. Oh, because it's inside the card. This should be outside because the card is a flex. So when I pull it outside, you will see here it's centered. So that will work. Good. So I have about and resume. Resume should take me down, so I need to fix that now. Resume, this is the section here. Resume. So when the user click on resume, it should take him to resume. So when I click resume, take me here to the resume section. Click about, take me to the about section, home. Good. This navigation is working. Let's do the skills real quick. Or the services. So I have services section. It's after the resume. Now I'm gonna do my skills. So I can remove it from my navigation. So I'm gonna do the services, then my contact right away. Services. I'm not sure why it's connecting for you, Tori. Let me try to send another link. Live share. Stop. Share. Copy the link. Sorry to if anybody was using live share, I just stopped the previous link. And here's another session for the live share. So that's services. Going to be section with an ID services. Notice that we have this class title. I'm going to use the same classes here, the container section top. I'm going to have an H1, a class text center, title, services. Then we're going to copy this text. And have an H. Forget I used H3. Yeah, H3. Subtitle. And then we're going to have 3 cards here. So I'm going to do service cards. For these icons, I'm not sure where they're bringing. They're probably SVGs. this is like a Bootstrap classes. We can search that. This is the framework, Bootstrap 5 icons. This is another library for icons. And we can search the icons. As you can see, there is so many icon libraries. Icons. No, it's not here. Flask. No. So they have their own icons here. Where is this icon? So let's see. Font Awesome have some icons that we can use. Font Awesome icons. Flask. They have Flask, okay. And I need a Flask and I need product. You can use any icons. There is some pros that's for the paid version. Box. So we can use box. Okay, so I'm just going to use different icons because it looks like this icon's using a different library for it. So I'm going to add a class here, card. Notice that it's same name as this. So I need to be, when I select it, I need to be very careful. The card, it's going to have an icon. I need to get Font Awesome library. So I just search for Font Awesome CDN or Content Delivery Network. And you go right here. You can copy that link tag. I'm just going to link it to my page right here. And now I can use my icons. And can go to Font Awesome icons and search a couple icons. Flask. I'll get this icon, copy it. I can get magnifier, copy. Have another card. There's a magnifier. Can use box. Notice that you see the icons here. Card, box. There you go. I got the 3 icons. Good. So I'm going to repeat them again. I'm going to call this ID cards as well. So you should have each of them similar to what we did right here. Okay, now I want to start style this. I need to put here some text underneath the icon. Web design. These are the services. So I do web design, photography. I think you have a typo here. Paragraph. web developer. App development. Branding. Probably we're gonna have to product strategy. Good. There you go. Now, what we need to do is, so we use the same classes. That's why it's styled like this. Even we use the same ID, but I can make some changes here. That this is the service. Section that I want services, and I want the cards. Oh, no, I want the card to be widths because I want 3 of them within each line. 30%. That will make 3 of them each line. Perfect. Now, services. I want to do something about the title. Let's do text align center because I want this text to be centered. Not the title, sorry. Subtitle. There you go. So all the subtitles will be centered. Will be centered. Look better as centered. Services. Card. In each card, it's have an icon. I want to select that icon, font size. It's 30 pixel. 40 pixel. Bigger. 50 pixel. Text align. Center. Displayed inline block. In order to center it, you know what? I'm going to do display flex. Flex. Not right here, because I can't. You know what? Let's do in the card. Text align. Center. Okay, now everything centered. I don't need to use flex here. I want to do margin bottom, 1 rem. Bottom, not top. Good. Color. Good. For the paragraph, I do padding, bottom 1 rem, because I want to add space between to add this dash. We can actually use border because if you use border bottom, it will take the whole thing. I can say that after the paragraph, so I can use pseudo element after, or pseudo element after, yes. After the paragraph, I don't want no content because I'm not going to put anything. I want widths to be 50 pixels. Height, 2 pixels. Color, that color. It's not displaying. Display. You can check here, inspect. So this is the paragraph. And it's have an after. So I see it here. See this line here that I'm adding. So it's highlighting that on the screen. Probably I need background color. Yep, background color. Because it's like an area that you give it a background color. So now I can control the width, 50 pixels. Let's do block level. Padding top, 1 rem. Margin top, 1 rem. Good. Text align center. No. Top and bottom, 1 rem. Photo. Here we go. So we're successfully added this small dashes across all of them. Now, for the paragraph, color, white. Good. Let's do 2 rem here. Why not? Okay. You see that each card here have the cursor pointer. And when you hover over it, you will change the background. So when you hover over the card, background color, you change it. Good. When you hover over the card, space. When you hover over the card, you want the icon color to be white. So you will select the icon, color, white. Let's give it a try. And do I like this? Here we go. So when I hover over the card, the icon that's inside the card, I want it white. Good. Paragraph. I'm gonna do 333. Dark gray. Paragraph. Good. Also, the paragraph after, which is the line we have. You have to do content. That's fine. I'm not gonna worry about the after. I'm gonna keep it the same way it is. I'm happy with that. So these are the services: web developing, web design. These are our services. And you click services, should take you to the services page. Now let's work on the contact, which is simple form that we have right here. I'm just gonna add the form. You can then add these icons. I'm just gonna add contact me and the contact form card. One thing I want to do with this card is the border radius to be 0. Now they have sharp edges. Okay. Let's go to the contact page or the contact section. Go to the navigation, contact. Section, contact. Also, let me add the footer as well. Footer. So actually, I'm going to use a footer tag. So HTML have a footer tag to define a footer. And the footer, it's going to look like this. Let's have a paragraph. Can add a class. Section top. Container. And text center. I'm going to add a paragraph here. Copy. Right? And you can use this copyright symbol by using at copy, then colon. This is called an entity, HTML entity, that will allow you to write some symbols. So all the entities can have names like the copy, but they start with the ampersand and the semicolon. Oh, right, reserved. Then John Doe. I can do, yeah. Made with, I can copy. Can copy this heart? No, it's not copied, it's fine. Just gonna add John Doe. So this is the footer. Let's take a look at the footer. Okay. I probably need to add some padding. So I will target the footer here. Footer. Padding. Top and bottom. Let's do 2 rem. Left and right 0. And we have a nice footer here. Let me actually also do font size to be 18 pixel. Color. Be less light color. Good. So I have the footer here. All I need to do is just adding the contact form. Contact. For the contact section, I'm just going to have a title here, say contact me. H1, class, text, center, title, contact me, and also this section, we want to give it some classes like section top and container. Then we have an h3 class subtitle. I'm going to copy this. Then I'm going to add this card. Then I'm going to have give it an ID, contact card. That's technically a flex, half and half. So that's the flex container. First section here, it's a div. I'm going to give it an ID, image container, to be able to give it a background color. And now I'm going to put the image inside it. So I can copy one of these images, tags. Next, I'm going to have this form, and HTML allow you to use the form tag whenever you want to enter, create a form. We're not going to add any actions because it's not going to be working. We need JavaScript to do that, and we need like an email servicing. But the form is the wrapping element, and this is an input field. Type text is fine. I want to enter text. I'm going to add a placeholder, your name. I'm going to have another input field, your email. Subject. this is input fields, which you can enter only one line. This is called text area. So I'm gonna add a text area. I don't need the rest here. Can add a placeholder. Notice that the text area have an opening and closing tag. Input fields, they don't have opening and close, just the opening tag. Message. And finally, I'm going to have a button. .ptn primary that will say send message. So the form look ugly now, but we're going to fix all of that. Okay, now let's work on the contact page, which is called a contact card that have a div, which is the image container and a form. So the contact card displayed flex. Now I should have both right next to each other. Good. Image container should be 50%. 50% of the flex container. The image is still bigger because the image container, the image inside it, it should be 100% width of its container. Here we go. This is 50% of the container. The form, contact card form, should also take width 50%. Good. So half and half. Now for the image container, background color, you can get the color 1E, 1E, 1E. There you go. So we added the color. For the form, you can add a padding to rem. Also, we can get this color for the form, background color. Good. Now I'm going to start working with the input fields. This has looked good to me so far. We're just getting the form together. And if we go up, eye contact should take you to that contact form. Okay, let's see how we can do that. So for contact card, any input field, I want remove any outline, none. Height to be 100 pixels. That's a lot. 75 pixels. 50 pixels. Good. 50 pixels look good. I want to display them as inline block or block level elements. Let me do inline block. Widths to be 100%, each one. Good. Margin bottom of 2 rem. Good. Can do 1 rem. 2 rem is good. Let me check. 1 rem is fine. Can do 1.5 if you want. The border 1 pixel solid and light gray. I want to apply the same to the text area. Good. I want to add border radius, 10 pixels, to have round corners. Padding to the left, because you see here, if I enter something, it will be right at the edge of the input field. Padding to the left, 0.5 rem. Good. Font size, 1 rem. Perfect. Now I'm going to target the text area. Height to, let's do 100 pixel. We do 200 pixels. Good. And if I want to center this button, I can do as well. Do that by adding text center div. This button, it will be centered. And I have a nice form that they can enter their message and send the message. Click my work or hire me. Of course, these buttons are not working. And to make it colored, active state, that will require. So right now, if I'm contact me, if I want to keep this button or this link to be active, that's been showing which section you're in, that will require JavaScript actually. One thing that I can add is a button here that can always take me to the top of the screen. Because right now, or actually I have the home here that always can take me to the top of the screen. Even if I'm at the bottom, if I click home, it should take me here. Also, if I click in John Doe, it should take me to the top of the screen. So this link here that I have in the navigation, it should take me to the hero section. So if I go down, take me to the top of the screen. Perfect. Again, there is so many sections we can adapt from here, but we don't have that much time. So you can design this blog, which is technically just for the view. You can create different pages like this page. But it's all about your creativity and learn about all these properties. So definitely my skills will require this progress part. It's a little bit tricky to do it. We can try one of them. I can show you. I can do one of them. So let's say you want to create a progress bar here. Okay, so I'll give you the idea. Then if you want to implement it, that's fine. You can implement it. So I'm going to have a div. I'm going to give it an ID. Progress. Okay. It's empty div because we want to create, this div is going to be responsible for the dark bar, which is the empty bar. So progress bar, progress. We're going to give it a height. Let's say 5 pixels. We're going to give it a width. Let's say 300 pixels. Let's give it a background color because it's a div. We're going to get this color here. Any color you want your progress bar to be. Okay, let's see how it looks like. Of course, let's add a margin. Let's add it here. Section top. Just to separate it. Class section top. Here we go. This is my progress bar. Also, let's add container. So this is my progress bar right here. I can increase its height to be 10 pixels. Yeah, 10 pixels is good. And I make border radius 10 pixels. So it's rounded from the corner. Okay, now I want the filled part inside it. To do that, you can use after pseudo element. And there's no content. I'm not going to show any content. Content here will take, for example, if I put John Doe, it will display the text here. But I don't want to put any text. So the content is simply empty. Or I have the same height, 10 pixels. Width. If I want to do 50%, so it's going to be 150 pixel. So it's a ratio. This is the max. So let's do 50%, 150 pixel. Background color. Okay. In order to display it, tap in display inline block. Here you go. It's not going to be quite on it, but that's fine. I'm going to fix it. Let's do border radius 10 pixels. Okay. Now I want to move it from here to here. To move it, that means you want to position it. You have to use the position, which we didn't. We use it as position sticky with the navigation bar. In order to position something relative to its parent, you can use position here, relative, for the parent. And right here, position absolute. So it's absolute from the parent. Here we go. Now it's going to be top of each other. And I want to set the top from the parent 0 and left 0. There you go. That's 50%. So I want it to be identical on top of the parent. So this is a very common trick that you can use. I want to position the yellow one compared to the gray one. So the gray, you have to put it as relative position because that's going to be the parent, where I'm going to move the other one compared to it. The other one, I want to position it as absolute in relation to the parent, and relative to the parent. And then you can move it top 0, that's mean with the same top as the parent, left as the same as top left of the parent. And if I put it right here, it's going to move to the other side, which is pretty cool. Left. Now I can increase the percentage. Can make it 200, the width. Make it 300. 300, that's mean 100%. That's, you maximize the skill. Make 220. Good. And this is how you can do, as I told you can do anything with CSS. You can draw anything technically. Okay, so I'll stop here and take any questions. I know we covered a lot of stuff today, but the good part, it's practical stuff that if you're gonna work in that field, it would really help you to know the stuff, and you should be knowing how it's. I hate to create like a website that's very basic. You're gonna end up that you're not gonna feel like you didn't create anything at all. These are more practical information. Okay. We have time. If any of these properties confuse you, or you didn't get it, or you still have question about it, or any of the lines, feel free to ask now. Okay. What do you think you learned new to you today or in this mini boot camp that you already probably you know HTML and CSS, but JavaScript technically is, if you want to submit this form, that's an interaction, right? Second, you have a counter here. To make this counter running like this is an interactive part. This should happen by JavaScript. The page know exactly where you locate it. Like when I move up, notice that the skills, I'm in the skills section. If I go to the project, that's automatically shifting between here. That's JavaScript. The carousel here to place the content dynamically in the page, replace the two images. That's JavaScript because it's an interactive. You need to dynamically check your web page by the JavaScript. But to style, as you can see, CSS, the HTML is just the structure. And I hope that gives you a basic idea how you think when you look at a web page and you want to do it yourself. The process of how to think to clone it or to do a web page similar to it. Because I did it from scratch with you. That's the first time I do this web page. Okay, so I'll paste the code in the class GitHub repository. Feel free to make any changes. That's how you're going to learn. Make any changes to the images. Try to break the code. Not a big deal. If you have any question, feel free to put it in the Slack channel. I'll be more than happy to help you. I'll show all the coding text is like. No, that's not true. What you're referring to, Claude, is a single page application. And it's a technique that modern web application use. It's called single page application. Like the page content, all the HTML and all of that will be automatically generated by the JavaScript. Okay, so the HTML will be generated by the JavaScript. So for example, a very popular framework that we actually teach, it's popular in the US, which is the React.js that's made by Facebook. And if you go to React.js, okay, you might want to check their source code. Probably not going to find anything. Nothing here, right? There's no HTML. The reason for that, because they have the script that will load the HTML for you. So if I do line wrap here, you'll find all JavaScript that will load the page for you. This is called single page applications. Oh, finally it was loading. See, there's not too much HTML. You can't find the library interactive. For example, if I search here, you find meta tags. This is the header technically. And you see a lot of script codes, JavaScript codes. These script codes will be responsible for generating dynamic HTML because the content of the page is dynamic. If I click in this, the content of the page will change based on which page I'm in. So it's a modern concept based on frameworks, and most of frameworks using single page application technique. It's faster. It's not faster, don't get me wrong. It's faster somehow. It minimizes the amount of code that you're going to type because everything is going to be repetitive and generated by JavaScript. It's not going to be repetitive and it will be generated by JavaScript. The development process for you as a developer is going to be less, and it's interactive. That's what I can say. When you're using a single page application, you're not, when I go to the second link here, notice that the page is not going to refresh. It's automatically take you to the second page. And that's one of the benefits of using single page application. That the user experience. Okay. Most popular frameworks, React, Angular, Vue.js, they all are single page application frameworks. Does that answer your question? Is that what you was referring to? And you can see here, I have this tool that tell me if this website was made with React or not. And I can tell you here, when it's green, when it's blue, that means Medium is made with React. And this is the framework that we use in our courses because it's the most popular one in the US. So if you try, you can see the code here in the element, but you can't view the page source. If you go to the page source, technically it's nothing there. Just have some colors and bunch of scripts that will be responsible for generating the HTML dynamically. That's a good question. Any other questions? AI, you can. I'm not going to say it's 100, you can't rely 100% on AI. And when the AI came up and people say, okay, there's not going to be job for developers, I doubt it because AI, it's a computer at the end of the day. You have to tell it exactly what you need in order to get what you need. AI will give you code, generate code for you that it will get it from the web somewhere because it's have to get the code from somewhere, right? It will surf the web to find a similar code of what you're searching for. Now it's your job as a developer to customize it to your needs because it's not going to be 100% what you're asking for. So if you don't know the basics, the styling, you're not going to be able to change the color. If you don't know how to make a little bit changes, you're not going to be able to customize the code for your need. That's the way I see it. I can give you an example. I teach in other boot camps and in college, and I noticed that the students, they copy and paste codes from online. They have no idea about it. Technically, if you copy somebody's code, download it, you don't know how this code running or work. And they put it in the GitHub repository as they did it. But if they go to the interview, it's like, if you created this code, you can simply walk through it. Let's say you downloaded this code. Here you have, we live that this type of knowledge is freely accessible. You can access it anywhere. You can have here download this code. If you don't know how to change the name here, John Doe, you're not going to be able to customize it for your own. So what my point of view about AI, I might be wrong, but it's going to give you a bunch of code that you can run it. But if you don't understand the basics and how this code run, it's going to be really hard to customize it. But for learning process, yeah, definitely. And I think there is a tool with VS Code. I forget what is named, Copilot. There's I forget the extension. My students like that extension because it can generate the codes for you. You can just type something and it will try to understand what you're thinking about. I forget what is the name of it. But for me, I hate it because sometimes it makes wrong assumption of what I'm trying to type. That's why I uninstalled the extension right away. So it's not always, you gotta be careful of what you're wishing for. So it's nice tool, but it's caused a lot of confusion for me. I have to generate the code, then I have to remove the code because that's not the code that I want. Okay, so I'll push the code to the GitHub repository. Feel free if you have any question. I'm on Slack. I check Slack on a daily basis. Send your questions, and we finally made it a clone for a beautiful portfolio webpage. So you can go to the home page, the about page, and you can customize it to make it your own portfolio. And you have a contact form at the bottom. And I show you how you can create a progress bar using just CSS. You don't have to use any of the frameworks. Okay, have a good night, guys.